Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And everybody gets a second Jubilee video, because this Jubilee was not fun. And I didn't particularly enjoy it, and I know a lot of you didn't particularly enjoy it. Like, I have seen the comments on my first video where I used like the light team and Diablo 2.0, and it's not overly realistic that people will have all the units that I do, which I always put the disclaimer in there that your scores are going to vary and your teams are going to vary. But I have gone ahead and I have done a separate video using teams that do not consist of new meta units. And so I have 3 different team options for you we're going to go through. And we're going to run them on Boss Battle 2 because, quite honestly, like, my units can't do EX. Like, my Earth team that we're going to show did EX, but it was rough. But all these fights are going to be on Boss Battle 2, that way you understand, again, the strategy of the team comp and why it's running. So, I just wanted to give you guys 3 options. We're going to run the Earth team, the Water team, and the Dark team. And they're going to be janky, and they're definitely not going to be like top 1% scoring teams. But they will get you points, and they will put you relatively in a good place. But just be aware, it's not going to be top 0.1%. You're not going to get 600 crystals using these teams. But you will score. So, the first team that we're going to show off is the Earth team, and it's going to look like this. Alright? Ignore the backline. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're not doing bind, dodging, and all that. So these could be literally blank, and I don't care. What I care about is Hakuro, Dark Shion for the Pierce and the Pierce Power, Valentine for the DPS, and the Hero for the Rewind and the Crit Boost. Now, I think I'll put in both Earth teams, both Boss Battle 2 and EX clips that I have. And you can see what happens when we use a turn 4 kill in Boss Battle 2 versus a turn 6 kill in EX. That way you understand. This is going to be the best team. Well, not the best team. The Dark team is pretty good. Let's just jump in. Alright, so here we are loading in. This is Boss Battle 2 using the Earth team. So the idea is that with Hakuro, you want to be able to use both the Pierce and the Crit Boost powers, but unfortunately, unless you get really, really lucky, you're not going to have it. So right here, turn 1, we're just going to send the 3 blues. We're not going to rewind here, we're just going to send the blues. We're not going to get guaranteed Hakuro turn 2 anyways, because we don't have the Rimuru to give us that protection boost on turn 2. So we're just going to make use of it, and we're going to clear our hands of the blues that get nerfed. So here, we get a good hand of greens and oranges, and whatever we send, we're going to get Hakuro next turn. So I'm going to send the greens because we're getting another green, and I don't want to have to not change those. We could send the orange, but then we'd be screwing ourselves out. I do kind of check and see what the only Valentine cards are going to be, but if we're going to use Hakuro next turn, I want to make sure that we have enough for Valentine to get her ult. So we're going to send the greens right here, eventually, when I think about it really hard. There we go. Alright, send the greens. We've got Hakuro protection gauge for turn 3. And now here, we get a good draw of a lot of Valentine. So we're going to rewind here. And then we're going to Hakuro. That way we get the points, and we get full 6-card sends. Unfortunately, this does not get us another Hakuro meter, because we don't have the extra 35% boost from Benimaru, right? Because we're not swapping anybody else in. So here, we get the rewind, and now if you get incredibly lucky and you get a really good hand, you could potentially get a Hakuro meter. Like, if we had pulled another green orb in, we could have gotten Hakuro, and then we could have launched both buffs. But we didn't, and the realistic setup is you're not. So send what you have. We're gonna miss out. We're not gonna get anything because it's already turn 3, and the hero's trait has already procced because we're going into turn 4 now. But this does work. So attack, 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 and attack. So turn 3 is where all of my original video kills were. Turn 4, it's not terrible. Once you get to turn 6, turn 7, then your score really starts tanking. So right here we have 100 points. So we can pick and choose whether we want to use the Pierce, or if we want to use the crit boost. And honestly, I think in this scenario, it's better to use the crit than the Pierce. One, because my Pierce is only 96%, and God knows my luck is terrible, and I will hit that 4%. So here I'm kind of considering, like, what is the better option? I eventually do go with the crit boost. He has 32,000 health right now. So we have 2 Valentine cards and the ult, so we're not going to get him terribly low. So here we go, crit boost, and then the magic power up and magic resistance down. And we're going to send just the 2, and then the ult, and we're going to pray that it kills. So 6,000, 5,900, and then the ult kills 25,900. He still had a lot of health left, but if you look at the score when it pops up, I mean, 85,000 is not the worst thing in the world, right? We only had 891 points of overkill damage, but turn bonus is still 53,800 points. Dear Lord, I can't talk. So, I mean, that's a respectable score, especially since my Valentine is only 84. Like, if you have a 100 Valentine because you wailed on her banner, she will do a lot more damage. If you get lucky and you can get that second protector gauge for Hakuro, you will do more damage. If you get lucky with your hand and you get more Valentine cards to lower his health, you will do more damage. But that's Boss Battle 2. Let's throw the EX clip up now. Alright, so now we're in EX, where he has a lot more health, he has higher defense, your units just do less damage. It's still the same team, though. I'm going to use a different strategy, though, because I'm going to rewind turn 1, I believe, instead of waiting a little bit longer. But definitely, because you're not going to kill turn 4. Like, it's just not realistic. You just don't do enough damage. So you're going to go until turn 6, turn 7, and that way you can guarantee that you will have enough protection gauge to use both of the big buffs plus Valentine's debuff. So it's just kind of a waiting game and, you know, staying on your toes and being patient, really. So we're just going, like, we're just going to send cards, we're going to send orbs, do as much damage as we possibly can. So this is a good hand right here, a whole bunch of oranges and 2 blues. So I could either send the oranges and call it good, I could send the blues and get rid of them, but we're going to go for the oranges. Just because I want ult gauge. I want everybody to have an ult by the end of this. That way we can do as much damage as possible, get him as low as possible. So right here, we're taking a lot of damage, really. He buffs his attack, buffs his crit. You do get hit hard. So right here, full hand. This will pretty much guarantee that we have everybody's ult. We're on turn 3 already. Max points, but we're still missing that second Hakuro meter. And unfortunately, now that we have 3 ults, we're limited to not a lot of free orbs, and the blues are nerfed now, which is unfortunate because we pulled 2 of them. So he still has like 75% HP. We're not going to kill here, so we have to stall until we can get another Hakuro meter, which will send the blues, and then we'll pull more greens, and then when we use those 2 greens, we will have another Hakuro meter. It's just that we have to waste turn 5 as well now. So if you get really lucky, then you could potentially kill turn 5 on this team. I don't know why I didn't send 2 greens, I sent 2 oranges instead, but it's not really a big deal. So now, we have 100 points. We have a Hakuro meter. We're on turn 6. So, now we're going to use Pierce. We're going to use a debuff, and buff, technically. We're going to pop Hakuro, that way we have a full 6 card send, with 2 Valentine cards, and then we're going to have the guaranteed crit and the resist down. So this is not a bad turn, and it's definitely not what I would consider like the most optimal of teams, but again, this is not using the new units. So full 6 card send, let's do it. I don't know why we're waiting. There we go. Alright, so 3,500, 7,300 from Valentine, and then the 200% card does 14,800, and it's decent damage. The hero's ult does 9,000 damage. Shion's ult does 9,000 damage. Like, I swear to God, they over-nerfed something on these ults, because They should hit harder than that, I feel. But we're going to watch Valentine ult, just because she looks good in it. And this not AoE ult, obviously not an AoE ult. And then she does 29-7, and we end up killing. So that was EX right there. Like, yeah, we had to go to turn 6, but our score, and we have 60 points of overkill right there, as you can see. Like, it's pathetic. But again, you do what you need to do to at least get the kill, to get the points. 28,000 is not the greatest, but it's not terrible. I think my optimal team is at like 36 right now. So, room for improvement, yes. Work with what you got, definitely yes. But let's move on to the next team. Alright, so the second team we're going to use is the water team. Again, ignoring the 2 units in the back line, they don't matter. Chloe, Milim for the supporter, Alice for her guaranteed pierce and the water resistance down, Velzard for her frostbite, and then her own pierce buff, since her attack buff doesn't matter, and then the hero again because the crit and the rewind. Like, you're gonna need the hero for this, regardless. Like, if you don't have the hero, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you can try and work it. Sometimes you don't have to use the rewind. If you have Hakuro, you can kind of get around that a little bit, but having the hero really makes or breaks the game. So this is the team that we're running. It's not a good team, especially since my Alice and Velzard are only level 80. Like, the water team is by far my weakest team. 80, 80, 80. It doesn't matter that you're 100, because I don't use guard. So let's jump into the boss battle 2 that we use this team on. Okay, so again, boss battle 2. My super underpowered water team. Like, I could shard up Velzard. I could shard up Valentine as well. I could shard up a lot of people. I have like 20 shards, but I don't want to, because I feel like I do well enough on my own without having them, and I will pull them eventually down the line. So here, since we're using Chloe, we don't want blues. Like, we can have a few blues in here because we have Alice to orb change. So she does offer us a little bit of protection, but we're going to use a rewind here. We're going to pop just the blues. Again, we're not guaranteed the protection gauge turn 1 or turn 2 because we don't have the Rimuru protection gauge. But we can make the best out of it. So right here, we actually get a pretty decent hand of Velzard with that blue. So, make the decision. Send the greens, send the 1 blue, then orb change next turn. You have a few options here. I think I do end up going with just sending Velzard because I want to build her ult up because she is obviously the nuker. She's the magic damage dealer. She has that pierce power up. So she's going to be important. And we're waiting a little bit for some reason. We're still waiting. We're still waiting. I must have been doing something right here. Alright, there we go. We send the Velzard cards. Alright, so technically still now turn 2. And, okay, we don't get what we really want to see. So we're just going to burn these hero cards because I want that blue out of here. We're slowly building up, more Chloe meter. It's totally fine. This is not a turn 4 or turn 5 kill right here. This, I think, is a turn 6. So, because it is just weaker. If your water team is built up a little bit better than mine, you can definitely try and go for an earlier kill. But I don't have very much confidence right now. So, we could send the 4 oranges. We could guarantee that we get Velzard's ult and the hero's ult. Or we could do a full orb change, which we end up doing because I need the points, right? Because we want to have 140 to use the 2 big buffs and both of Velzard's 15-point buffs. So the faster we get it back up to 140, the better. And having all 3 ults would not hurt as well. So, entering turn 4 now, we have the hero and we have Velzard's ult, but we don't have enough points. So we gotta stall. And we have some blues here, which we could use Alice's orb change here, and then go into the next turn with probably a full hand of greens. But again, choose what you want to do. You could just send the 3 Alice cards if you wanted. It's really up to you. You could orb change now. but I don't really know if that's the best idea, because again, we're going for 140 points and we're 8 away. He has 36,500 health. So, what are we going to do here? As I sit here and think about it. Alright, looks like I'd send the 3 Alice cards just to clear the hand. So now we have 3 Velzard cards. We have 140 points though. So, let's go ahead and orb change. Alright. And then we are going to use both buffs, Pierce and Crit. And we're going to go for the kill on turn 5 here. Again, this is boss battle 2, right? So EX and 3 are going to take a little bit more damage. So, again, just strategy, just showing you guys some other team builds. Doing okay damage with Velzard, not great. Like, Valentine was hitting a lot harder than that. Here it is 13-6, which puts us at a good spot, and then Velzard comes in and cleans up with 25.8, and that gives us a final score of 81,000. So definitely a lot lower than the Earth team. I think the Earth team was like 86. But again, my Water team is quite weak. And we killed on turn 4, I think, so we got more points from that. But that's the Water team. Let's move on to the last example, which is the Dark team. Alright, the third and final team is the Dark team using the Orc with the Xion Protector as a support. Dark Xion again for the Pierce and the Pierce power. Dark Milim because she's a single target magic damage dealer and she hits very hard, we always knew that. And then the hero. So not much to say about this team. Let's dive into the gameplay. Alright. So last fight, last team that we're going to show off, and it's probably my strongest one because Milim is level 100 because she's been since her original banner back in, what, November? So we're going to use the orb change here, that way we can guarantee that we get the Orc turn 2. Unfortunately, we don't have any other orb changers to help us if we get more blues. It's kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. Thankfully, it works out very well. And the Orc does give us 20 points and does rage skill cap, so we can get 120 points, because we're not using any other things here. Like, Dark Milim's orb change, we've used it. And her second skill is like a 15% chance to crit, which we have the hero giving us guaranteed crits, so it doesn't really matter. So we only need 110 points, really. So we use the rewind here, because we have a full hand of oranges, and I want to capitalize on that. Get as much protection gauge as we can, which is not a lot, but it allows us to rewind turn 2 and see if we can get a fairly good rewind hand, which I don't think we do. It's kind of unfortunate. You know what, that actually could be a lot worse. So we could send the greens, we could send the Milims. We already have a Milim ult though, so it's like, we really want to capitalize and get maximum points, so I think we send the greens. I think we do that. Yes, we do. I think. We're thinking hard still. There we go. Alright. So really, as soon as we can get up to 120 points, or 110 points, we're gonna nuke, really. So right here, we get a counter, sweet, that just lowers the health even more. That's actually really useful. Alright, so we need a little bit of protection gauge, which is good because using these 2 Xion cards, we 1, get her ult, 2, we get over 100 points, and 3, we get the protection gauge, which means turn 4, we can use the Orc, and even if we don't orb change, we still get that 20 points, which means that we're going to have enough to use both of the buffs, which works out really well, because we're only on turn 4, and we're working pretty well. So right here, we don't have anything to change, but we're still going to use it. Get those free 20 points, 122 now, we can use the Pierce, we can use the crit, and then we can nuke with both Xion and Milim and get him as low as possible. 24,000 HP. I think my Xion does about 16k here, so we're just going to send 1 Milim card, Xion, and then Milim, and we're going to clean up. I wasn't quite sure if we should send 1 more card though, because we only do 16. I wasn't quite sure how much Milim was going to do on her normal, but I want to play it a little bit safe. Like, we probably could have sent the blue, the nerf blue as well, or we could have sent the hero card, but again, playing it safe. Like, his health was pretty low there. Shion, like, we could have sent maybe the blue, but that's about it. And then Milim comes in, 28.5, and our final score ends up being the highest out of all three, just because of the dupe and, you know, the stats right here. So 88,000 right there. So there we go, guys. 3 additional teams that you can use to at least score decently well in this Jubilee. I will say again, I'm not the biggest fan of this Jubilee. They've always touted as the Jubilee Blitz as being, you know, quote-unquote more friendly for new players because it's not type advantage and you don't have to use the new units, but it's if this Jubilee is shown, it's very clearly geared towards the new units. So again, not something I agree with, but you know, we have other options for team building now. But that's it for me, guys. Let me know if this video helped you out. I know the first one is mainly for whales and people who summoned. This video should be a little bit more friendly for the rest of the community. So hopefully you guys found this useful. But that's it for me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you later.